Have you ever noticed that when you're broke, your mind starts working differently? Small decisions suddenly feel heavier. A simple purchase becomes a debate. And even when you're trying to focus on something else, money somehow stays in the back of your mind. This isn't just stress. There's actually a psychological reason why your thinking changes when you don't have enough money. Psychologists call this the scarcity mindset. And it can quietly shape the way people think, decide, and even plan their future. When money is tight, your brain becomes extremely focused on the problem. Imagine your mental attention like a spotlight. Normally, that spotlight can move between many things: work, hobbies, relationships, plans for the future. But when you're broke, the spotlight narrows. Your brain keeps returning to one question. How am I going to manage my money? Researchers studying scarcity found that when people are struggling with limited resources, a large portion of their mental energy becomes occupied by that problem. It's not a sign of weakness or poor discipline. It's simply how the brain prioritizes survival-related issues. When something feels urgent, your brain pushes everything else aside. Another strange thing happens when people are broke. Decisions that normally take seconds can start to feel exhausting. Should you save that money for something else? Every decision carries more weight because the consequences feel bigger. Psychologists sometimes describe this as decision fatigue. When every choice feels risky, your brain spends more energy trying to avoid mistakes. Over time, this can make people feel mentally drained, even if they haven't physically done much during the day. Why people sometimes make worse financial decisions. Here's something that might sound surprising. When people are under financial pressure, they sometimes make decisions that seem irrational. For example, taking high-interest loans, spending impulsively, ignoring long-term planning. But this doesn't necessarily happen because someone lacks intelligence or discipline. It happens because scarcity changes how the brain evaluates time. When resources are limited, the brain focuses more on immediate relief than long-term outcomes. If someone is stressed about paying rent tomorrow, saving money for next year becomes psychologically less important. The brain simply prioritizes the most urgent threat. The tunnel effect. Researchers often describe scarcity as creating a kind of mental tunnel. Inside this tunnel, your brain becomes highly focused on solving the immediate problem. That focus can sometimes help people become very resourceful. But it also comes with a downside. When you're stuck in that tunnel, it's harder to see opportunities or plan far ahead. Your brain is too busy dealing with what's directly in front of you. This is one reason financial stress can feel so mentally exhausting. Money problems are not just practical challenges. They also affect emotions. People dealing with financial scarcity often experience higher anxiety, feelings of shame, reduced sense of control. And when people feel like they've lost control over their situation, motivation can drop as well. Not because they don't care about improving their life, but because constant stress slowly drains mental energy. Understanding the psychology of scarcity is important for one simple reason. It reminds us that financial struggle doesn't just affect bank accounts. When someone is broke, they are not only managing a financial problem. They are also dealing with a cognitive and emotional load that constantly competes for their attention. The good news is that awareness can help. When people understand how scarcity affects their thinking, they can start creating small strategies to protect their mental energy. For example, reducing the number of daily financial decisions, automating simple expenses when possible, and focusing on small, manageable improvements rather than overwhelming long-term goals. These steps don't eliminate financial stress instantly, but they can help widen the mental tunnel just enough to start thinking more clearly again. Being broke doesn't just change what you can afford. It changes how your mind works. Your attention narrows. Decisions become heavier. And your brain shifts into survival mode. But recognizing these psychological patterns can help people understand that the struggle isn't just financial. It's cognitive too. And understanding how the mind reacts to scarcity is often the first step toward breaking out of it.